Hello and welcome to Flipchart Friday. Yes, this is Flipchart Friday. It's an idea I concocted. I dreamed it up just so I could share with you some amazingly useful and easy to implement, but most importantly, powerful tools and techniques for you to adopt, to adapt and to become adept at in your presentation. So if you're a geek that's already speaking, they're great for you. You can use them. If you're a geek that's learning to speak and going to get into presentations as part of your career or as part of your journey, they're also going to be very useful for you too. And today on Flipchart Friday, I want to talk to you about giving your audience proof. Yes, your audience is screaming out for proof. They need proof, whether they verbalize it or not. And so let's look at what proof actually means. P-R-O-O-F, proof. And the P in proof stands for primacy. I'll write that down, primacy. Primacy is the beginning of your presentation, and your audience's attention span is naturally peaked at the beginning of something. You know, they're full of anticipation. They're wondering what you're going to be talking about. And so it's peaked there. And so it's at the beginning of your presentation. Here it is. It's up here. This is the beginning. We'll go for beginning just here. The audience's attention span is peaked. And what happens is it kind of wanes off a little bit if you don't take steps to keep it going. And then it rises at the end of the presentation. So actually the beginning and the ending of a presentation are very, very important. And that brings me to the R in proof, which is recency. Beginnings and endings, primacy and recency. Did you know that the first ad in a TV ad break is way more expensive than the others? Apart from the last ad. The first ad and the last ad are the expensive ones because people understand this concept that the beginning and the ending of anything is naturally where people's attention is kind of up compared to where it otherwise would be. So beginnings and endings are important. Primacy and recency. What about the O, I hear you ask? Well, there's two of them. The first O here is overemphasis. What do I mean by overemphasis? What I mean is using your own natural style to overemphasize key points that you want your audience to take away. Maybe this could be by laboured repetition or maybe even comical repetition of some key points that you really want them to get in their heads and walk away with. Maybe it's using a particularly low and reassuring voice when you talk about one particular thing or a series of things in order, again, to get your audience tuning in. I'm sure that you can think of lots of other ways to overemphasize things. Maybe it's a certain hand gesture, and when you make this hand gesture, it's very important that you remember a certain point. Whatever your natural style allows you to do, then use that to overemphasize certain key points. And by doing that, you're going to buy yourself extra attention. So even though the audience's attention has started to wane a little bit, you can peak it up by building in bits of overemphasis to get them a little bit more excited. What about the second O, I hear you ask? You're on the edge of your seats for the second O, aren't you? It is outstanding. And I almost used the wrong coloured pen. Let's go for outstanding. And outstanding is all about making things in your presentation outstanding in order to get more peaks. So let me give you an example. If I was to talk to you about my recent holiday in the US of A, and I was to show you a number of photos that I took, and most of them, let's say, were countryside scenes and landscapes from all the amazing national parks and that kind of stuff. But one photo in particular was of a squirrel wearing little miniature squirrely sunglasses and riding a rather cute squirrely little bike. So a squirrel wearing sunglasses riding a bike of his own size. That, my friend, would be outstanding. And you'd remember that in the series of photos. Okay, so we can again buy more peaks of attention by making outstanding things. So we've got the beginning, we've got the ending, we're overemphasizing certain things as we go through, and we're also using the concept of making certain things outstanding, maybe by them being so different because we do a demonstration or we talk about them in a certain different way, whatever it might be. And then the F at the bottom of proof is familiarity. 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 That's right, familiarity. Yes, just checking my spelling. Familiarity, and what this is all about is using the concept of things that people are already familiar with in order to help them to understand new things or take things in. Just coming back to my example of the different photos of the American landscape, again, outstanding things would register, but imagine if I showed you a picture of somewhere you'd already been, again, that would be highlighted to you and your attention would be piqued. Well, in teaching and training and giving presentations, we can use this concept to allow people to grasp new concepts by explaining them via something they already know. Let me give you a small example. Imagine if I wanted to introduce the concept of Ohm's law. That's the flowing of current, or it describes the flow of current through electronic circuits, and we use terms like impedance or resistance. Now, I could talk about water flowing through a garden hose pipe. You know the concept when you're watering the garden. And what would happen if I stepped on the hose pipe, applied pressure with my foot, it would slow down the flow of the water. And so there would be an impedance or resistance to that flow. And so that's an example of using a concept that people already know about in order to introduce something that's new to them. So make sure in your next presentation you give your audience proof. Primacy, recency, the beginning and endings, overemphasis of certain points, making other points outstanding, and then using familiarity to buy yourself even more peaks of attention. Now, one little thing before I go. I told you beginnings and endings were very important. Well, how about buying yourself an extra beginning and ending by whatever the duration of your presentation, let's say it's 30 minutes, by actually having a break in the middle, because if you put a break bang in the middle, you've created an extra ending and an extra beginning. So you've now got extra attention spans. Put your money away. I'm including that one in the ticket price for you. I hope that's been useful for you. Beginnings and endings, primacy, recency, overemphasis, outstanding things, and familiarity are all tools you can use to make your presentations more effective. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time on Flipchart Friday. But let me warn you, if you like Flipchart Friday, you're going to love Whiteboard Wednesday, coming up at a Wednesday near you soon. Anyway, see you next time. Bye-bye now.